All right. Good day, guys. So again, this is Coach Thumper doing a review of a 2900 Ana player. His name is Destiny. He's an off account. This is actually a University of Oklahoma JV player, so he's a player that I've been the coach of his team for a little bit now. But he's gonna try Ana. Ana's not his main, but we're gonna try to get his Ana up to where he kind of wants it. So we're gonna take a look at this VOD and see where it gets us.
Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
First of all, default skin. Level 41 they're using.
Eyes on the back.
Just a scratch, you'll be fine. Get me.
Okay, so it's not really a mistake, but I'm just gonna let you know. Generally, you want to be quick scoping things like this, where with like you're shooting at like things over here, right? And like if they're coming around the corner and you want to hard scope that's fine. Get like the 2 shots or whatever. But as soon as you realize you have to start like healing a little bit, don't be afraid to start quick scoping your targets at this close range, because quick scoping is the best of 2 worlds, right? It's you keep the field of view of no scoping while getting the accuracy and the hit scan ability of zooming in, right? So don't be afraid to quick scope. The other thing is, just so you know, the movement here should be this way, not this way. And you've already used your nade cooldown to heal yourself. I'm just going to say this right off the bat. I'm sure I'm going to say this a lot this video, considering you what you just did. But don't do this unless you're in dire straits. Like, you got hit by, like, a random... what do you even get hit by? A random something over here. Maybe a helix or something. You get hit by a random helix and your mercy is right here. Like, you don't need that. Just ask for healing real quick. Just hit X or something, right? So just be aware. Like, that's pretty wasteful cooldown. By the way, can you see why you rotate here? Let me look this way for you. Do you see why you rotate this way and not this way? Okay, you rotate this way because if you rotate this way and they come this way, how are you going to get back to your team? You're going to have to come out this way, hope that they're not in this area, come all the way back around like this. You're going to have to do that, right? There's no real choice there. Or because if you try to go back this way, you're going to die. If you try to go back this way, you're probably going to die. There's no help, right? You have to back up to the point because you know where they're trying to go. They're trying to go to point. It's not like you don't know what they're going after for the objective, right? So your better backup plan is through here or just straight this way if this is the position you're wanting to start in, which is nothing wrong with this, okay? So keep that in mind. Like, the angles of retreat is something really important. Good try on the sleep. It was actually a really good flick and really good try on the sleep. So look, you're gonna get caught out really hard. Yeah. So that's the thing, is you're getting caught out really hard. That didn't have to be a Doomfist. That literally could have been any DPS character in the game. It didn't even have to be a one-shot ability. You were completely vulnerable the whole time because of the rotation you did 10 seconds earlier. I mean, there's really nothing else you can do once you're in that position other than die. There's not a lot else.
Oh, you look tired.
Don't be afraid to no scope.
Eyes on the back.
Yeah, don't be afraid to no scope. You do have to learn how to no scope to a certain degree. So, like, for example, I'll just give you an example. Like, if this right in front of you starts taking damage, it's fine to no scope that because it's relatively close range. So if this Ryan right here starts taking damage, right? It's relatively close range, right? He's not a fast moving character. It's not like he's gonna like zip this way and you're gonna miss, right? So it's not like you're gonna miss. It's relatively close range, and you can keep a pretty open field for things like this soldier up here or something that happens up here if you can see it from that angle. Okay, don't be afraid to no scope. It seems like you're very, very much like hard scope. And there's nothing like hard scoping has its advantages and its disadvantages, just like no scoping does. No scoping's advantage is the field of view. Its disadvantage is the fact that it's a projectile. So, excuse me, and anything shorter than longer than like, I don't know, 10, 15 meters, it becomes much more difficult to hit. But zooming in consistently also has advantages and disadvantages. The advantage is the accuracy. The fact that it's a little bit of a forgiving accuracy within that little triangle within your scope. But in addition to that, it has zoom in and it's a hit scan, which is hit scan's a lot easier to hit than projectile, because projectile is a little more predictory. Hit scan's instantaneous, is just accuracy, right? But the disadvantages of zooming in is that you lose a lot of your line of sight, and the shots are visible to the enemy team. You see that gold streak coming from your biotic rifle, right? So there are disadvantages to zooming in, which is why we quickscope a lot, is because it kind of deletes some of the disadvantages while keeping some of the advantages. But don't be afraid to no scope or hard scope when the opportunity gives itself. I just think we're not entirely sure where the opportunities are, which we can kind of go over in more detail near the end of the video. Okay. So good. Just from the streakiness, the first 3 shots you put down to heal this Rhine were hard scopes. Just because of the speed you were firing and the fact that I saw the yellow streaks. So the first 3 shots you put were hard scopes, and then you started no scoping. So you actually do have a slight feel for it, because no scoping it's not really faster. It's faster than quick scoping, but it's not really faster. But it feels like it's faster. And you can keep a more open eye on things. So be aware of that. Also, you did the same thing you did last time. If someone's up here pressuring you down, and they rotated to here eventually, the retreat angle is not here. The retreat angle is this way. So we keep going to the wrong retreat angles. Because the thing is, if you go this way, first of all, they rotate here and they still have easy line of sight on you. But if you go this way, you lose sight on your Reinhardt, which is holding this I guess you can call this choke right here, right? And so you lose sight on them, and you have to rotate all the way through here and come back up here, and oh look, I'm visible to these 2 spots again. Like, it doesn't really work. If you come this way, then you have the bridge like sides for cover, and you can peek out and still get heals down your right here. You still have full view of both these spots, but you're not nearly as vulnerable. So we keep going to the wrong retreat angles fairly consistently. Okay, again, I'm not sure why we're using biotic. So the nade, like, there was no reason to nade there. He was full health, and there was nothing here to purple. Okay, so like, and then you immediately followed up with a sleep. So there's 2 issues with what you just did. Okay, I'm feeling pink today for some reason. There's 2 issues with what you just did. One, biotic was complete waste. I'm not sure why we threw it. Because Ryan was literally full health. You're the one that got him there. You did a great job healing that up. That was good. Your tracking was pretty solid. And then you threw a nade where there was no purple opportunity, and he's already full health. So I don't know why we threw a nade there. Just like before, at least we threw the nade when we needed healing, even if it was a waste. I'm just not sure why we needed to throw the nade there. And then we followed it up, and this is a very common Ana error. This is not something that you should feel guilty or ashamed about in any manner. This is a very, very common Ana error, is when you throw a nade and it gets no value, or even maybe when it does get value, you immediately follow it up with a sleep dart. This is a very bad mistake, and one that is pretty consistent. So like, think of it as you use both your abilities. Think of it as if Moira used her fade like randomly and she didn't need to, or she faded into the enemy team, right? Like, you have no, like, Ana has no maneuverability. What she does have to stop dives on her is an instant 100 extra health here, or extra health. I don't think it's 100, but an instant extra health here, and the ability to take someone out of the game for like 5 seconds. Okay, so but if you get rid of both those, it's like fading into the enemy team as Moira. You're probably gonna die if anyone actually realizes that your cooldowns are gone. So be aware of that.
Get in there.
That's that nano I actually don't mind. See, like, sleep there would have been nice. We just kind of randomly use sleep even though D was out of mech, and we've kind of already won the fight.
We need to fall back and regroup.
So also, whenever you're in a position where, and you were just in it, whenever you're in a position where, ignore what's on the screen. Actually, let's do this. Whenever you're in a, ooh, I'm so sorry. Whenever you're in a position that you're like here, right? And you're literally having to go shot, 90-degree turn, shot, 90-degree turn, shot, 90-degree turn. And you're having to do this, right? Whenever you have to do this with your mouse consistently to heal damage and just kind of do everything you need to do, you're in the wrong position. That's a positional error. Okay? Positional error. Now, you might be thinking, why is that a positional error? Well, Anna's a sniper. Kind of. But she's a sniper, but she doesn't function well in the middle of brawls. She functions well when the enemy team is here, and your team is here, and she is here. That's where she functions well. Because here, she can get angles for heals throughout the entire thing. She has line of sight on basically the whole enemy. Plus, she can have line of sight on the rest of the stuff. Plus, she probably has an easy escape angle coming out this way. Plus, there's a sleep dart on the off angles that she can hit at will. Plus, there's a nade that she can kind of hit right here where she can maybe get purples and golds at the same time. This is where Anna functions well, okay? If I draw the same diagram and say, there's here, right? And you're here, and Anna is here. Is that a good position? Just arbitrarily, like, don't take maps or compositions as an Anna player. Is that a good position? No, that's an awful position, okay? And that's really what we're getting at overall is that's an awful position. That's not what we want, okay? So because it's not what we want, we need to make sure that we always are in a position where we're keeping the most of the fight, if not the entire fight, in front of us. We want everything in front of us, because if something's behind us, we're probably dead. Or if something's like constantly surrounding us, where we're having to, you know, do those 360 mouse tracks, we're probably dead. Again, why nade? Like, the fight hasn't started yet. One, and then immediately follow up with sleep dart, right? So why nade and sleep dart there? The fight hasn't started yet. One shot, maybe two shots from your Biotech rifle. The Rhine is full health, and then we can. That was, I don't know if that was luck or skill, but it was a good dodge. Okay, and then the fight hasn't even started yet, and then we throw a sleep dart that no one else can follow up on, and doesn't really do anything to stall the fight. And by the way, in addition to all of that, if we were wanting to rotate to the high ground, we should have rotated to the high ground this way. Not in front of the enemy spawn this way. Right? Okay, I'm not sure what we are doing here. Okay, two things. One, neither Anna should have thrown that sleep dart. Neither sleep dart will do anything. They don't have a shield. Look at their tank line. They don't have a shield. This hog should be asleep 90% of the time. Literally. He is front, and this diva too. Like, either one. Like, purple this and sleep this instead if you want. I don't really care. But the thing is, like, their front line, you haven't really even seen their tanks because you're playing in such odd positions a lot of the time, right? So it's not very common that you're seeing this tank. The one time you did see both their tanks is when you were, like, doing 360s over here somewhere. Okay, so neither of you should have really gone for that sleep, but you did anyway. Okay, that was actually a better nade. Okay, we're putting our blinders on here. Okay, make sure if we're throwing that nade that people actually need for it. We kind of just threw it expecting the damage doom because I've already done the damage. Even though his abilities kind of already come out, and I know he's nanos, but it's a good try on that nade. That sleep I didn't mind, and that nade I didn't mind it as much. But the position, again, you're kind of out in the open, right? So, like, again, we don't want to be. This is kind of a more higher level positioning thing, but we don't want to be here. We want to be here. Cover, right? Constant cover. Like, you're pretty far away from all cover if you're in this position here. Okay.
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
Okay, we've already used sleep and nade because we're all cooldown, so you did use those out of spawn. Again, wrong retreat angle. We went this way. We need to go this way.
Name. No.
So we went right. We need to go left.
You're powered up. Get in there.
Okay, okay. It's really. I'm not gonna harp on it too much longer. It's cooldown usage. Like, you're just not getting any value out of your cooldowns. And it's not I just want to be clear. A lot of people, when I coach them and I say you're not getting any value out of your Ana cooldowns, a lot of them go, well, sleep's really hard to hit. And, you know, Nate, it's like, when do you use it? Because it's like a great healing ability, but like, you know, everyone says it's better as a purple. It's like, what do you do? I'm not saying that you're getting bad value out of your cooldowns because of where you throw them or how you throw them or the mechanics. It's literally when. You're doing them before fights even start, and you're throwing nades at spot that doesn't have anyone in them. Like, there's no healing available there. If there's someone that needs, if there's someone, an ally there in the first place, they usually don't need healing, excuse me. And the only purple you've got in the entire round so far is on the Doomfist when he was coming in on you, and I don't even think you knew the Doomfist was there, honestly. I think that you were just kind of throwing it at your main tank. That right there was an appropriate, because your accuracy is good. It's not like you're missing a lot. That was a good sleep you just missed. It was a good timing on the sleep. Like, everything about that was good. Don't push in this diva. They need you alive. Good. Like your mechanics are solid. Like, it's not your mechanics. It's just we're getting very, very, like, Ana against this composition should be absolutely deadly. Okay, Ana should be just, these tanks shouldn't be forced to switch because you were playing Ana, and really because of your Ashe as well. They should be forced to do that. Why? Why sleep? I guess we were expecting a Doomfist or something. But why, again, like, why, like, cool, you got 4 people gold. Like, it doesn't do anything.
Oh, you look tired.
And we backed up and turned our back to Orion, which was fighting, and then we nanoed a break, which was rallying but wasn't near anybody. I don't know. It seems like you're just kind of using everything off cooldown, and just trying to get any value you possibly can. You're going for the quantity over quality tactic of cooldowns, which is if you use, you know, the cooldown 10 times, then, you know, if you use the cooldown 10 times, then and you get value 4 times, it's better than if you use it 5 times and only get value 3 times, right? That's what that's kind of the strategy you're going with right now, which, is where kind of statistics and mathematics kind of fall apart, because the problem is not, the problem is that cooldowns can be as threatening to the enemy team, but they only can be threatening to the enemy team if they're available. Meaning, your quantity thing, if you miss them, then maybe you find the opportunity 3 seconds later to use them, and maybe the enemy realizes you used them, right? And so, like, it's not like getting no value is the end-all be-all. It's like getting no value is the reason the enemy team gets value, right? We're a little bit too close. Like, we should have been further back than that, but it was a good, like, it was good cooldowns, good accuracy. Like, you did a good job. It was just you're too close. Like, if you just need to take a step or two back during the entire, like, process of that fight.
No.
Okay. Let's see how you attack, because Ana is... Oh, we're going to switch to Lucio. He stole Ana from you. Rough. Okay, so... Is this actually, like, the way it's going to go?
Ready for battle.
Okay, so you did ask me to do Ana, so I'm going to go ahead and stick to Ana. So we're going to go ahead and end the VOD review there. But we are going to go over a few things first. So during this VOD review, I think there's 3 main points that we can kind of point out as things we do. Cooldown usage is a huge one, okay? So we need quality... we need quality. I can draw, I promise, or write, whatever. Over quantity, okay? We want quality over quantity, okay? Every single time. This one, not this one, okay? I'd rather you use sleep 5 times in a half and hit 3 of them than use it 10 times in a half and hit 4 of them. Sincerely, I'd rather the 5-time usage one. Now, obviously, there's a problem there where, like, okay, we have the quality, now let's get that quality more quantity, right? Let's get the quality more. Let's get the value more, okay? But the thing is that if you have sleep available, now the enemy team goes, okay, what ultimates are going to use? Genji Blade, Roadhog ultimate, Shatter, You know, pretty much anything that's not an instantaneous like Diva Bomb or so or Pulse Bomb or something. They need to be cognizant of your sleep dart, and if we're just throwing it out there, then that's value for the enemy team kind of at all times, that they're like, oh, we don't have to keep track of this, he just used it, oh look, he just used it again, like he's not getting it down. And for the biotic nade, that's just something that like we need to make sure we're in a better position for. I honestly think your use of the biotic nade at times is really good and at times are really bad, but I think that it's more of a positional error for your biotic nade. I think if you're in a better position more consistently, the biotic nades will come a little bit better to you. And in addition to that, you know, making sure that you're not preemptively throwing the nade. Like sure, it's projectile and it's a slower projectile, but it's not so slow that you can throw it and then 3 seconds later someone will step into it, right? Like that's not how slow it is. So we need to make sure we're throwing it into situations we actually want to throw it into, not going, I kind of hope somebody's there, and just tossing it. Okay. So number 2 is positionally, we're too far forward. Position too forward. Okay. Positionally, there was a lot of situations in that half where we were just kind of spinning, or that we were so close that the Doomfist could come in and get like a triple uppercut because we were right next to like hit scans and everybody else. And like there were things up in our face instantaneously, and we were having to like dodge like spam damage because our Ryan put his shield down for half a second to swing at something. Like that's just, it's too far forward. There's too much stuff for Ana to keep track of. You know, you basically have 3 different firing types, which we're about to get into, with no scoping, quick scoping, and hard scoping. We have 2 different really impactful cooldowns that are quite long cooldowns we have to keep track of. There's positional errors because we have no movement capabilities, so we always have to be in good position. You know, we're a sniper, and different shots have different like projectile versus hit scan. And we have all this stuff we have to keep track of as an Ana. We have all this stuff to do as an Ana. We can't afford to also have to keep track of, oh, we're so far forward into like a Moira position almost that like there's spam damage coming at us, and we have to keep track of our own health, and we have to like, oh, is someone behind me needing healing? Like we don't need that. You should be the furthest one back for your team almost at all times, because you want to keep everything in front of you. Everything should really be in front of you. Okay. And the third thing is the types of shots. Okay. So in general, so I'm going to leave this up for a second so you can look at it. So cooldowns, positions too far forward, types of shots. Now let's go over types of shots. There are 3 types of shots. A, no scoping. Okay. So no scoping, if you are close range and you just need to fire, like you just need to pump healing at close range, and also there might be like an off angle that's like threatening you, could potentially threatening you, just fire, just no scope, especially if it's like a tank that's not moving. Or if it's like a ball, okay, maybe you need to quick scope or something. But like if it's a Reinhardt, Orisa, Winston, Diva, Roadhog, Sigma, like anything that's just gonna stand in front of you and take damage, just no scope it, right? Because you're not gonna miss because of the projectile. It's close range and they're not moving very fast, if they're moving at all. So just no scope. Just keep hitting no scopes and keep track of your surroundings. Just like, you don't even need to like really look at the person. It's a giant hitbox and you're just pocketing that. So just keep hitting mouse 1 and just kind of look around and be like, okay, no one coming from an off angle, right? Like I'm fine to just sit here and heal. We're good. All right, great. That's the best way. That's the position to no scope. So B is quick scoping. And I think quick scoping has 2 functions that it kind of out excels the other 2 at. One is if you need to hit 1 or 2 just really quick good shots on, like, let's just say like a Pharah, for example, or a ball at range, or like a Tracer or Genji at range, just something like kind of fast moving where you need the accuracy, but it's only like 1 or 2 shots, right? Quick scope, just go, oh look, bam, bam, and they're fully healed, you're good to go. We're solid, we're great, right? So that's like the best part of quick scoping, because it doesn't limit your because you only need to hit like 1 or 2 shots, so you can kind of keep track of your main tank and the other frontliners, but you can hit 1 or 2 shots on one of the off anglers that need healing while keeping an eye on everything else. That's a really good way to quick scope. Okay, C is hard scoping. Okay, hard scoping is arguably the thing you should be doing the least out of the 3. Because hard scoping would entail, I think there's 2 reasons for you to hard scope. One is if for some reason your main tank or your front line is so far away from you that the projectile of no scoping actually does impact how fast the heals get to your front line. then maybe you should be hard scoping and just hitting shot, 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 right? The other reason you should hard scope is if there's no healing to be done and you find something that you want to kill or you want to do a lot of damage to, then you can probably hard scope because it'll be easier to track with hard scoping as it is a hit scan, not a projectile, right? Which the reason I say hard scoping is probably the least used of the three is because it's not very common that your main like tank, your main front line is going to be so far away from you that you can't no scope. And it's also not very common that there's an enemy so out of position that you think you can hit more than like 1 or 2 quick scope shots on them to get them low. If someone's so out of position where you can just hard scope kind of feed into them, then they're probably out of position. So hard scoping is more like, oh crap, someone's out of position, or oh good, someone's out of position, or something's really really far away, right? Otherwise, really, it's kind of all quick scoping and no scoping. It's not as much hard scoping. We want to use this as much as we can because, again, the disadvantage of no scoping is that it's a projectile, and the advantage and the disadvantage of hard scoping is it limits the LOS. Well, quick scoping fixes both of these disadvantages. It's a hit scan, which it takes from the hard scope, and it only restricts the LOS for a very, very short amount of time. So it doesn't restrict the LOS for a very short time, which it takes from the no scoping, right? So this is kind of like what you want to be doing. So it's really like no scope if you need to heal close range, hard scope if you need to heal far range, and a lot, quick scope in almost every other position. All right. So I hope this is helpful. I hope this is helpful, man. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me. You're at the university, you know. And for everyone else watching, I hope this is also really helpful for you guys. I am Coach Thumper, and I post daily, so check it out. Thanks. Bye.